Oh, okay, it's not working. Hello, everyone. Yes, I've lost all my skills since I have not gone live in like a week or so. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Hi. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad that you guys made it. I'm sorry that there's a glare. I've tried to fix it. I was too lazy to put on my contact lenses, so we get glare today, and I hope that my glasses are right. Anyways, welcome. If you are here during the live or if you are here checking out the replay, I welcome you and thank you for joining. And just in case you didn't know or you're wondering why you're looking at me right now, my name is Yolanda. I am locating Cozy, and this is a broad chat. So thank you guys for joining me today. Please make sure that you do say hello in the comments. Say hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I do appreciate the support. And I hope that this next hour or so that I am able to make you laugh, give you some knowledge, entertain you, and all those good things. So, yes, welcome aboard. And again, please do make sure that you say hello. In the meantime, I'm going to bring on my guest for today, and I'm very thankful to have. Hello, 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 Miss Francis. How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you? I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
It's so good to see you. Like we didn't just see each other yesterday.
Yesterday, right?
Like we didn't just see, girl, we go way back now.
I know, right?
And so yes, it's just been a I am so tired right now. I'm just gonna say this right now because I'm going to bed early. So it's like 7 o'clock here in Spain right now. If y'all didn't know, we are
Mm-hmm.
both in Spain right now, just FYI. And
Yeah.
I'm going to bed at like we finished here like about maybe 8:15ish. Yeah, I'm gonna be in bed by 8:30. Okay. And just for full clarity, um, Francis right now is on a pet sit. She's on a pet sit with Mo,
Yes.
and Mo's not gonna be quiet. Okay, it's just, and I think maybe a month ago, I was doing a pet sit and I was doing a live, and it was with Mo, same dog in Madrid, and Mo decided to act a fool with me while I was doing a live about maybe what was that about 3 weeks, a month ago. That Mo was like, "I'm going to bark." For the last 15 minutes of your live. And that's what Mo is trying to challenge us on today. So it's real world. So if you hear a dog barking, we're good.
House
I'm
sitter,
not editing it out. It's just not
house sitter
happening.
life.
Okay.
House sitter life. House sitter life.
Yes, yes. And so yeah, okay. Well, first of all, let me just go ahead and say, because okay, Aileen, I don't know what you were doing, girlfriend, like posted this like 30 minutes before we went live. I'm like, that's my girl, that's dedication. Thank you. Thank you very much, Aileen. And hello, Cheryl, PhD. Thank you for joining. I do appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. And again, please do make sure as you come in, please do let me know and say hello in the comments. Introduce yourself. I really do appreciate it. And let's see what's going on. So, usually I will ask the questions of what's going on in your world, but we have a whole bunch to share. So, you will be finding out. But I do have to ask, that's just a question that has to be asked no matter what. And that is, how are you locating your cozy? What are you doing for yourself that's just for you, that's bringing you joy, that is just, whether you slept in or read a good book or, didn't take a phone call or ignored people for 24 hours, whatever it was. How are you locating your cozy? I will let you go first before you have to get back up again.
Well, today, come on. Listen, I'm going to have to put her like behind closed doors because she's not going to cooperate.
Okay.
But today, I located my cozy by getting my hair cut. I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to share how I've located my cozy. Okay. I'm back home. I am back in my apartment. I got back here at 8 o'clock it was about 9:15 this morning. I got back home, and but while I was in Madrid, I actually did not do any business. Um, well, yeah, I tried. I didn't because I'm the type. I'm like, girl, you have time. Go ahead and while you even when you have the downtime from doing the things that you were doing in Madrid, you still need to handle business. And I actually did not handle do much business things at all. And I'm like, and it's okay. That was it was kind of hard for me to because as soon as I got home and I sat down, or excuse me, got back to my Airbnb and I sat down and I felt like I had some time, I was like, oh, you need to work on the edits because I had a pre-record that I was supposed to be putting out on Sunday, as a matter of fact. And the pre-record that I did that I was supposed to put up on Sunday, it's kind of intense. It's intense at points. And I was like, you know what? I want to make sure that all of my emotions are there because there are some intense part of that conversation that I'm having with this person. And so I decided to not do any of the work and just wait until yeah, I just decided to wait, and I'm happy about that. I'm very pleased that I like put myself first and said I don't want to feel that emotion right now from editing that interview and making sure that everything was right. So yeah, I kind of didn't work. And I was like,
So,
I was old in
nothing
there.
wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you just gotta take time for yourself.
Yes,
We actually
ma'am.
need to do more of that, to be honest.
Yes. It's no matter, and it's funny, irony, funny, not really, but the fact that even with me being what 2 years into my journey of leaving my last horrible job, and all that, and even though I feel good, there are times when I still feel the guilt of putting myself first. Yeah.
Of course, it happens. It happens. That happens to me a lot, especially with because I have a daughter in college, and they always need stuff, even though they're grown, and she's
Mhm.
21, but she's a college student. And so, you always think about their needs and you put their needs
Yeah.
first, and want to make sure that they're good before you put yourself first. So yeah, I get that totally.
Yes. So yeah, it felt good and stuff. But now also, because you asked me yesterday when we met up, you were like, "So what you gonna do when you get back home?" It's like, "Oh, I have a whole list of things I have to do," but
Hmm.
for the time being, at that time, I was like, "Nope, I'm not even gonna make a list." I didn't even make a list about what I needed to do until I got back here today. I was
Okay.
like,
Okay.
"Yeah,
Good for
that was
you.
like." It's like, girl, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. You like you wouldn't even make a list about the list of things you need to do. What?
Yeah, I when I got back, I started to work on some new stuff that I got myself into, which we'll probably talk about. So
Mhm.
I did a little of it, didn't finish it, but that's okay. There's always tomorrow or the next day, which is today. So I'll get to it basically.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So please do, Francis, for those that don't know you, the way I know you, but for those that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, awesome. So I am Frances, from Find Her Freedom. And basically, my story is back in 2020 pandemic times. Um, I decided that I would take a career break. And like we were talking about yesterday, the pandemic for me, and I tell people this all the time, the pandemic was a blessing for me because it really put me on the road to where I am now, basically. Um, because of the type of job that I had when the pandemic hit, everybody went home, no one could work and stuff, but I still worked. And because I still work, I still got paid.
Mhm.
And, for 2 years, I guess you could say the duration of the pandemic, um, I hunkered down and paid off all my debt and saved money. At that point, my daughter at the time, when it started, she was in maybe 10th grade. And I realized, soon I'm going to have an empty nest because my daughter is going to be gone off to college and stuff like that. And so I could now look at doing the things that I like to do or that I want to do. Um, and one of the things that I enjoy most is travel, and I always have. And I always made it a point to, travel, whether by myself or with my daughter, what family, what have you. And so and I'm guessing because I'm not really sure, but I think this is how it happened. In me looking to do that and knowing that she was going to be leaving, of course, I started to research travel and stuff like that. And I believe that is how the algorithm connected me with the Exodus Summit.
Yep.
And they did their
Everybody was
very
doing that curiosity search, and it was like all of a sudden it's like,
exactly.
here, girl, here you
And I was
go.
like, who are these people? Like, yeah, this is exactly what I want to do. And this is in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the very first summit. It was nothing like what it is now. It was 7 days, I believe, the first one.
Yeah.
It was free, if I'm not mistaken. And it was just, so much a wealth of information. And then you find out that the thing that you enjoy doing, that you want to do, that there are actually people that look like you, women that look like you, that are actually out there doing the thing that you want to do. And that just
Mm-hmm.
like, for me, it just like made me, I had like the blinders on. It's like, okay, I'm doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I would be in my office because, again, it was a 7 day thing. So I still had to go to work. And at lunchtime, I would close my door and I'd be looking at the different speakers. And so, yeah, Rashida and Stephanie definitely put me on the path that I am now.
Yeah.
And and I've been to every summit since then. I spoke at the summit last year. And I've learned so much, as I'm sure you have. It introduced me to house sitting. Um, it taught me so much about travel. Adelia taught me so much about investing and saving money and all the things. And so
Mm-hmm.
it just really changed my life. And so initially, when I started my break, I intended for it to be a year. At the very start of my break, my daughter traveled with me
Mm-hmm.
because she did not start her freshman year until January. She took the fall semester off, and so we
Okay.
traveled. We traveled through Mexico and stuff like that. And in January, she went off to school, and I said, "Well, I'm going to take 20." That was 2023. She started school. I left the job June of 2022. So we traveled and hung out for 6 months. And then I said, well, I'm going to take 2023 for myself. And I did. And I only intended for this to be a year. I did not intend it for it to, I was going to do this for a year, go all the places that I wanted to go, see the things I wanted to see. And then I'd go back to life, whatever life would
Yeah.
be at that point.
Just be life and yeah, life be life and
Yeah.
we have to get back to it. Yeah.
And it didn't happen like that at all.
So how
I
far
mean,
were you into your journey when you were like, we're going further than a year? Like,
um, let's see. Well, before I answer that, I'll say this to you. One of the things that I did prior to even starting is I did Burnout to Bliss, which is Rashida's coaching
mm-hmm.
program.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget, Rashida said, and to everybody, not just me that's in the court, she said, once you leave, you're never going to want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be the
Yeah.
same. And in my mind, I was like, well, I don't really have a choice because I got to go to work and I got to do this and I got to do that. And let me tell you, she was not lying. It didn't take long at all. I was like, there's no way I could go back to life as I knew it. You know what I
You
mean?
start like you go from I gotta go back to we got to figure some things out. I'm kind of liking this. Okay, yeah.
Yes, yes. I was like, I don't know. I don't do that. I can't. I knew I couldn't go back to, the way I worked, and as much as I worked, and weekends and nights and holidays and all that other stuff.
Hmm.
I definitely didn't want to do that. But at the same time, I was like, how can I make this? How can I continue this? You know what I mean? So it really didn't take long. It did not take long at all. And
Okay.
so,
Okay. And you were
I
in the
had a
HR field before. You were in the HR part of for
correct,
company.
correct
Okay.
HR in a hospitality industry primarily, and so that's an industry that it's every day. There's no holidays and no weekends and stuff like that. It's casinos and hotels primarily, and
Oh
the
wow.
casinos are open every day and hotels are open every day, and so it's not like your typical 9 to 5 kind of grind. You know what I mean?
Okay, I got a question for you because I'm just curious. Do you think that it was easier for you to maybe step away once you got the insight about the fact that other Black women were doing this because you were in the HR field? Do you think that you were able to make a more well-informed decision because you work in HR as far as how to make that exit?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. And when I talk to people now about it, one of the first things that I always tell people is look at your handbook, because
Hmm.
you know people tend to start a job and get a handbook and they put it on the shelf and they never look at it. But that can tell you a lot about what is available to you. And a lot of
Hmm.
times you may have a benefit that you can utilize before taking the leap if you need time to prepare. So yes, that it definitely did.
It helped. Okay, good. Wow.
Mhm.
And so the you started researching. But was there a moment that you like, even when you like said, I'm gonna take the sabbatical, was there that moment when you were like, I need a break and it's like you just pulled the plug? Was it like when you started doing the research, when you joined Burnout to Bliss? Was there like a certain point when you were like, yeah, I'm doing this?
Well, to be honest, um, I use the fact that my daughter was leaving home
Okay.
um, as kind of like my jumping off point, because I was
Hmm.
coming to the point where I was burnt out, not loving what I was doing anymore. Didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do, but I know I didn't want to do that anymore. And so
Hmm.
for that part, I was like, I was pretty, my mind had already been made up, like, that, it's time for a change. What that change was going to be, I wasn't sure. But once I got into this, I was like, okay, this is the change that I need to make for
Yeah.
myself. Um, and after that, it was like full speed ahead. Full
Okay.
speed ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, hello to those coming in. Thank you so much. Please do say hello. If you have any questions for myself or for, of course, our wonderful guest, Francis, make sure you put a Q in front of it because we're going to be touching on a couple of things. I do want to also just say, disclaimer, we know there's a dog barking in the background. We know this. Okay. uh, because the same dog caused me issues about a month ago when I was pet sitting said dog. So right now, Francis is pet sitting, and Mo is like, hey y'all, I want your attention, or hey Miss Francis,
Mhm.
I need your attention right now. And usually Mo doesn't really bark. It's like when Mo knows that you're kind of busy with something, Mo's like, I think I want to talk to you now.
Mhm.
So just
Mhm.
FYI. And so, but we're going to keep going because Mo will not ruin this. It's just real life happening.
Should be
Okay.
all right. Should be all right.
Yeah, she'll be fine. And so what inspired you? You created. So, and also just FYI, Francis and I are both in Madrid, and or excuse me, in Spain, and so we're going to get on that. But first, I want to kind of make sure I'm focused on all about her. So, you created the Unapologetic Rest, the career break guide for Black women.
I
Um,
did.
how did that come about when you were like? I have something to say, and I think that I can share it, and it'd be of great value to other wonderful women. I don't know if it's focused for if you're selling it directly for Black women or just the generation at large, population at large. So, but please
Well,
do share.
it's definitely for Black women. I'm not gonna say that if somebody who's not Black wants to buy it, they can't. Like go right ahead.
Yeah. Get their money out.
But I definitely wrote it with Black women in mind. And one of the things that came out of my experience, again, I'm kind of going back to um, what Rashida said. You're not going to want to go back. And as I started to think, or coming down to maybe the end of the second year, because well, let me go back even further. After that first year, I felt I had been traveling, and going back to see my dad, and I had lost my mom and he was living alone, and I wasn't really comfortable with him being alone. So I would travel and go back and visit him and travel. And after
Okay.
traveling like that for a while, I felt like I wanted to be somewhere um and not living out of a suitcase. But I
Mhm.
could not think of where would I want to go. I didn't want to go back to where I'm originally from. I'm from the Virgin Islands. My house was rent or is rented, and so I wouldn't be able to go back to my house. I didn't necessarily want to go back anyway.
Mhm.
Um, so I was thinking about where were the places that I've been to that I liked. And my daughter's in Savannah in school, and Savannah is a city like we talked about that I really, really like. And I said, you know what, maybe I'll try out Savannah for and see how that fits me. And so I
Okay.
did that, and I lived in Savannah for a year. Um, but again, I still wanted to travel. Um, but I didn't want to travel and pay rent. It just didn't make sense for me.
That's the
And
key.
so I have family in the Atlanta area. I gave up my apartment when the lease ended, and I, gave some stuff to my daughter, and I put some stuff in my sister's garage, and I said, well, this is going to be my base, if you will, and I'll travel from there. And so at the end of that year, or the middle of that year, I started thinking, well, okay, so now what are you going to do now? It's going to be 2 years and stuff like that. And so I said, there are so many women out there that even in my coming and going that have been asking me, people that I know, like,
Mhm.
how do you do this? And like, I would love to do that, or I wish I could do that, and that whole thing. And so the unapologetic rest was born out of that. People asking me, how did you do this? Or I wish I could do that. And there's so many things, as you know, that are involved in making a move like that. You know,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
got if you're working, you got to figure out what you're going to do about work. If you own a home or renting an apartment, you got to figure out what you're going to do about that. Decluttering a home, getting your money together. What are you going to do while you're on the break? What are you going to do when the break is over? And so there's so many facets that you know go along with taking this break. And so I decided to break it all down, put it into a guide, and also created a workbook. So there's a workbook as well with different exercises for each corresponding part that kind of just basically holds your hand. And at the
Mhm.
end, you will have a plan specific to you and your needs, because everybody's needs are different. Some of us are like myself. I'm in the sandwich generation. I have a child in college, and I also have an aging parent.
Elderly parent. Yeah.
There's some people that are child free. There's some people that have partners, husbands, mates, whatever you want to call it. So everybody's situation is different, but the tools allow you to um, put on paper in the workbook, if you will, but put something into make something that works for your specific situation. And so that, in a nutshell, is where it came from.
Wow. Okay. And and it is. It's very important. There is the resources are out there. We create arenas of information. Yours was creating the workbooks and giving them a way to figure out what's going to be best for them. My way of sharing and showing support and sharing the information is through doing my my YouTube videos.
Hmm.
Whether it's me just talking about my personal experience or actually sharing with other Black women that have made major transitions in their lives that have led to a more positive lifestyle. And everybody's journey is different. So that's
Exactly.
why, yeah. So yeah, just FYI, like little plug, go to the playlist, and on there, I think it's like the international, like all the international women of the world that I've interviewed, and I'll pop that link in the I think it's in the description anyways. But yeah, so just know that you're not alone. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you just have to
Hmm.
get the information, get inspiration, and then do your own due diligence to make sure that you're following the right journey, depending on what you're trying to do or where you're trying to move to.
Exactly.
But
Exactly. Everybody's journey is different.
so, what are some of the myths that you think that you've heard that you would love to like debunk if you've heard any kind of myths about taking a career break? Something that you've heard somebody say, you can't do it because.
You can't do it because, well, this is a big one I hear a lot, especially with people that are trying to climb the corporate ladder. They feel like they will be putting themselves backwards or going
Mhm.
backwards in terms of being able to, you know, either stay on the trajectory that they are on or were on, and it'll be more detrimental than anything. And I tell people, um, just like I was talking about, people will always say, oh, well, I wish I could do that. And I think that when you do something like taking a career break, it's even more of a selling point because it shows that, not only do you put yourself first, but that what you learn on your break, you can, how should I say this? It can help an
You can
employer.
implement it into your you can use it as, yeah, I know what you're
Yeah.
saying. Like you can implement it into your duties, your job. Yeah,
Exactly, exactly.
yeah.
How you navigate whatever your situation is, if you're a traveler or not, or if you took courses, if you just took the time off to spend with aging parent, whatever it is, whatever you do on your time off, there's always a way that you can sell it to a prospective employer, how it will be of benefit to them.
We're talking
Um,
transferable skills, y'all.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Another one is, people are going to think I'm crazy. Like, how could you leave? Because some people, you're leaving, like they say, a good job, or you're leaving the country, or you're leaving the state, or whatever. You know what I mean? People get, and I tell people all the time, that is them projecting their fear on to you.
Hmm.
Not
Yep.
necessarily that you're doing something wrong, but they're putting themselves in that position and saying, but if I did that, how could I do something like that? So it's all a projection of fear. Um, and for me, and everybody's different. I can't stop saying that because when I was preparing for mine, I did not share what I was doing with people at my job or anything like that.
Yeah.
But then there are other people that they tell everybody, oh, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And for me, because I know that people often project their fear onto you when you're doing something that they don't understand. That's why I decided, I'm just going to keep my head down and do what I'm doing and make my preparations to make my exit. And when I feel like it's time for me to start telling people or whatever, I will. But I'm not one of those that are going to, go out there and sing it from the rooftops.
Yeah. There was someone when I first left my job, um unofficially, officially, left my job in 2022. 2 days after, it was like 2 days after attending the first summit, my first summit. Yeah. I left the job, and I was kind of like, I did it. Okay. And so one of my friends, family friends was like, tell your mama to shut up. Okay. One of my daughter's friends who works in like HR, all this, she's like, tell your mama to shut up. Okay.
I listen. I remember my last day. It was like a weight was lifted off me. I felt like I was
Mhm.
floating out the door. So yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah. And stuff. And I was careful. She didn't say, well, she did say it in that kind of way and stuff, but she was just tell your mama to be careful about what she shares, which I understand. And
Mhm.
I there was a lot that I did not share. Like even when I got my visa, I finally got approved for my visa. I didn't say anything about it until my attorney contacted me and said, you've been approved. That's when I was like, hey y'all, guess what? Okay. Because yeah, you don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize one, don't do anything illegal. Okay. But also, you don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize your livelihood. So, like that's something that could actually bring into question your qualifying for whatever benefits or whatever it is. Yeah. So I understand that. I encourage you, and I say it like this because I have seen some women saying, that they've addressed people talking about it on social media. Y'all need to be quiet about all that and stuff and stop putting your business out there. That's well, I'm not paying attention to them. It's like because had we not had Exodus Summit and some other wonderful women that were sharing, I wouldn't have known that
Right.
this life was an option. So yes, I do want to pay it forward. I absolutely want to pay it forward in a
Hmm.
constructive way, not in a way that's going to be damaging to myself or to anybody else. I wanted to, make sure I'm sharing the experience, I'm sharing the knowledge. I talk to other women about their experiences, and I strongly tell everybody all the time, stuff, do your own due diligence. Okay.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, share it.
Sure, yes. I guess caveat I would say to that is if you know you have Debbie Downers in your life, and negative Nancy's, definitely don't share it with them, because you
Yeah.
don't want people to bring your happiness down, your joy down. You found something that's going to make you happy, bring you peace. You don't need negative people in that space. So that, and I put that in guide the guy when I wrote it. I said, those are the people that you need to not share anything with. The people that
Yeah.
are going to try to bring you down and talk you out of it, and just spew all the negativity.
Yeah. And sometimes I can't shut up. I just can't. I'll be like, so let me tell you about this one because I love to give. For me, I'm a person that loves to give testimonials about my experiences, hoping to bring insight. And this was like long before like this part of my life.
Mm,
And I would share. And I remember sharing. I'm not going to go into it, but I just remember sharing a very pivotal point in my life with a group of women, and this was like
mm,
probably like I don't know 6 years ago. And I remember as I was telling the story, and it's a beautiful story. But when I was telling the story, I knew that there was one person in the group. It was just that one person in the group that was just like you. Her whole body, her whole aura was just negative and just jealousy, just all the time and everything. So I was just sharing, and it was so well received, but you can just see the seething and something
mm-hmm.
that you just can't control. It's like, girl, just bite your tongue off and just get away from me, because there's nothing that anybody. And don't get me wrong, I understand you don't want to have that negative Nancy person in your life, but also I may not shut up, and I'm not gonna lie, maybe in the back of my mind a little bit, I'm like, how you like me now? Okay, just a little bit. Just for that person that is always so negative and just cannot find joy at all. They refuse to even accept any kind of positivity at all in their life. So, but again, not saying that you're going to go around just like, telling all your business from the rooftop and just trying to, I don't want
Right,
you to chance it. Yeah,
right,
I
right.
get it. I get it. So So you have been, um, you just recently, how long were you in Asia? What parts were you in?
Well, just in January, about 3 months. I started in uh, Cambodia, Malaysia, Vietnam. I spent the majority of the time in Vietnam, and then Singapore, and then here.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Wow. Okay. So wait a minute. You said Malaysia, Cambodia, Malaysia,
Cambodia, Malaysia, Vietnam,
Vietnam.
Singapore,
Okay, that's
Madrid.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as accommodations, I'm going to go down like a little mini mental list. As far as accommodations, what was it like in Vietnam? I know you've just been in Madrid and you've been on a pet sit, but what were the accommodations like in the parts of Asia that you were in? Which ones were the best?
Which ones were the best?
Yeah, I want to know the best and the most. I won't say the worst, maybe the most challenging. Okay, how about that?
Honestly, I didn't have any bad ones. I really
Oh,
didn't.
okay.
I really did not. The only challenging one that I had, and it was not for any fault of the accommodation itself, but for
Mhm.
something that happened to me. Um, I was in an Airbnb that was like I was on the third floor, and there was no elevator, so it was stairs, upstairs, downstairs,
Mhm.
and I hurt myself. I fell.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I had to end up going to the doctors and all that. And one of the things that the doctor said was that you should not be climbing stairs. So I had to move from that unit and find a unit that had an elevator. So again, there was nothing wrong with the
Yeah.
accommodation. It's just that it wouldn't work for me because of what had happened to me. But
Okay.
I didn't have any bad ones, to be quite honest.
All right. All right.
Mhm.
Wow. And then, so, but right now you're only, okay, you've been to Spain before, but you had never been to Madrid. What part of Spain were you in before?
Barcelona.
Okay. And did you have a pet sit there, or was that you had an Airbnb or hotel?
No, I had an Airbnb in Barcelona.
Okay. How
Yeah.
was that?
Nice. Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly can't say that I've had any bad accommodations anywhere that I've been.
Nice.
Whether
Okay.
this trip or, on any of my trips before, I'm trying to think real quick. No, I
Wow.
haven't. No.
So now you were in Vietnam or during the time when like what 80 black women descended on the area.
It was amazing.
Oh my gosh, I was so having so much FOMO because I was supposed to go and I was like, no, don't go. You have some other things you need to focus on. And every time I would
Really?
see a picture, I'd be like, I love them. Yeah, I really love them. They're
Oh man,
awesome.
you missed a good time. It was really, really amazing. You know what I mean? Vietnam is special, but I think it was made even more special because there were so many of us. You know what I
Wow.
mean? And just people were just really happy to see. I remember, and I'm sure you've heard that, in Hoi An specifically, there's a lot of tailors, and that's where people go to get
Yeah.
clothes made and stuff like that.
I was just gonna
And
bring that up, but
so
yeah.
there was one particular tailor that or me and some other women went to, and she was so happy that there were so many Black women in Hoi An, particularly coming to her tailor shop, that
Hmm.
she prepared and had lunch for all of us at her
Oh
shop.
wow.
And she said, I've seen like Black people before, one or two or three, but I've never seen this many
Just
Black women
descended on.
all at
Yeah.
once. And so one afternoon, she, had lunch delivered for us, and we all came back to the shop and we had lunch at the shop on her.
Wow. I don't know if this was the same lady. I also heard that there was one lady that one tailor that literally when the day that you guys were leaving, she was just like started crying. She was so emotional and so thankful for all the business you just brought in that y'all just came in. I don't know if it was the same lady, but I remember, I believe it was Stephanie Perry was talking about that one lady that was just got emotional when the day that you
Really?
guys left, like, I can't believe this just happened and you guys just all came. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I didn't think I saw that one, so I'm not sure who that is. But I know this particular one that we went to. There were a lot of us that went to her, and a lot of us spent a lot of money. And when I say a lot of money, I don't mean like a lot of money in U.S. terms, but obviously
Yeah.
for them, it
It was
translates into
impactful.
a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, because I mean, we had people like getting entire wardrobes,
Mhm.
dresses, pants, shorts, blouses, swimsuits, you name it. And so,
Wow.
it really, I know for her, she had a good month
Yeah.
from us alone. And I mean, she had other clients, but from us for sure.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So yeah. Ah, another time, I just I I mean, because even when y'all did the one last year when when Exodus Summit did like the one in Cape Town, I just have my limits on how long I'm willing to fly. And that was just like beyond the scope in my head. So I just couldn't do it. I was like, I mean, there was other reasons, but that was also part of it was a couple of factors. And I was like, I'm not there yet. Yeah, I'm
Mm.
just now able to sit down and get on a flight going, like from the US and back and, without having my foot in the back of somebody's seat. So, yeah, I'm getting better. Okay.
Well, I know, I understand. It's definitely a long flight. But once they put it out there for me, I'm like I won't say I'm a freak about it, but I pay attention to it and I bank my miles for reasons
Mhm.
like this. And so
Yeah.
when I know that there's a place coming up or a thing coming up that I want to go to, I want to be comfortable. So I'm going to make sure I
Mhm.
have my points aside so that I can get a lie flat seat and be comfortable when I have to travel long distances like that. And so, but I get it. I wouldn't want to travel because listen to this. It took me, let's see, Monday. It took me about, I would say, 3 days to get there
Mhm.
because I went from Miami to JFK. Well, no, let me back up. I was at home for the holidays visiting my dad. And so
Mhm.
I left St. Croix and I went to Miami. I had to overnight in Miami. From Miami, I went to JFK. JFK, I went to Frankfurt.
Okay.
Then I had maybe 3 hour layover there. And then from Frankfurt, I went to Singapore. And that was the longest leg. And I still had another leg to go from Singapore to Cambodia because
Okay.
Cambodia is where I started. So
Okay.
it took me a few days to get there.
I admire you so much. Ain't my mission. Okay. Ain't my mission.
Yeah. But for me, it
Although,
was like I knew I was going to be there for a while.
yeah,
So I felt like,
you were
yeah,
there.
it was worth it. Yeah.
This was not a weekend trip, y'all.
No, no,
Okay,
no, no,
just
no, 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 no.
this wasn't like a quick turnover. And so
No.
she was meant to stay there for a little bit
It was
and
3 months.
really
I got they give you a visa for 3 months. I'm gonna use the entire three
every
months.
bit of it. Like your time is up at 11:57. You're like, okay, I'm out at
I'm out.
11:55.
Yeah, truly, truly. Yeah.
Oh wow. And so what happened was oh, okay. So I do have to ask you. I started looking at the clip, and I'm trying to pull it up right now. If you have it, can you put it in the private chat and I'll post it? The link where you talked about your experience going to the doctor
Hmm.
in Vietnam.
Okay.
Can you share some of that? Like, so, and I'm just going to give a little bit. She had a, she is, I'm accident prone. She's my big sister as far as accident prone. I'll say that.
I
So, but
am.
you had a serious fall at your Airbnb.
Hmm.
And then, and I'm going to put the link to that to give more information. But I wanted to kind of ask and kind of go to your experience at having to go to the doctor there. Did you have traveler's insurance? Did you pay out of pocket? And what was that looking like as far as your finances and the services you received?
Okay. Yes, always have travel insurance and travel medical insurance, because there's a big distinction between the two. Travel insurance basically, if your flight is canceled or your bags are lost, that kind of thing. But travel medical insurance is for, health issues that you may have while traveling. And so in the video, I talk about the entire experience, from me falling to, the hosts of the Airbnb and how gracious they were, the doctor. I've never had a doctor stay with me from the time I get to his office until the time I leave the building. And that's exactly what this gentleman did. Um, from the time I got to his office and the exam and taking me to radiology, basically escorting me to radiology, waiting for me, bringing me back to his office, taking me to the pharmacy to get the prescriptions, telling the pharmacist exactly I mean, everything. He was with me
That's
every
the
step
stuff
of the
that
way.
you see on like the like ER and Pit. It's like where the doctor just does everything. Like,
Mhm.
what is this?
Everything. And he would email me to see how I was doing, and I told him at this point I was like getting ready to leave, and he was like, well, I'm still gonna check on you. And I was like, huh?
Wow.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like I've never had an experience like that in with healthcare anywhere. And I had another healthcare, uh I don't want to say issue, but experience
Mhm.
in Morocco as well.
Okay.
But this by far was like out of this world. Nothing like that I've ever experienced.
Wow.
As far as paying for it, yes, I did pay out of pocket. And although I have the travel medical insurance, it there's a deductible, a small one, but
Mhm.
it's not like it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't be of any value to me if I made a claim, because of the difference in the cost of what I actually
Okay.
paid. And so um in the video, if you when you look at the video, one of the things that I say in the video is I I am giving away a copy of the guide to the person that guesses how much I paid for my services. And the service would
Anybody want to
include
guess?
the service
Anybody want
would
to guess?
include the office visit with the doctor, the x-rays, and the medication. And so yeah, I've had a couple of guesses.
If anybody is in here and wants to guess how much you probably paid out of pocket and just decided not to do the claim, please do put your answers in the comments. I welcome them, and we'll check and see who came. Who came? It was like The Price is Right. Who came the closest without going over?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
to know.
Yeah, but it's definitely mind blowing. The service, the cost, all of it. And so I know a lot of people are, very conscious of when you talk about travel and, or moving, relocating somewhere else. And healthcare is a big thing for people, understandably so. And
Hmm.
because we're so conditioned to what the cost of healthcare is in the US, it's like people are very uneasy about it. But in both experiences, like I was saying, I also had a healthcare experience actually it wasn't in the incident happened in Morocco, but the healthcare really happened in Lisbon. And
Okay.
I had when I got to Lisbon, I went to the emergency room, again, a fall, x-rays, the whole 9 yards. and I was out of there, that emergency room, doctor's visit, radiology, all of that, in about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And that, all of that, medications, everything included, if I remember correctly, it was $135.
Wow. Okay,
ER
so hold on.
visit.
Hold on. So because as far as your experience in Vietnam, let's see. Bayesian Alpha, hey Christine, it said it was 500 USD, and Aileen said it was $75. Who was the closest without going over?
Uh, they both went over actually.
Oh, okay. How much did you pay?
What's your guess? What's your best guess?
Well, okay, I'm gonna say $35.
No, you went over too.
Okay, what? Okay. I'm so confused right now. This was out of pocket, and with getting getting radiology and everything, the services that you received in Vietnam from that accident in Vietnam.
It was the visit with the doctor. It was the X-rays, and it was all the prescriptions.
What was it? $20? What?
Close. But
Okay.
because I still have it up on my thing, and I have people, you know, but
Oh,
I won't say
oh,
your
okay,
quote.
okay, okay, okay. Because we ain't winning nothing here. Okay, we were just guessing. Okay, so you haven't done your giveaway yet on that
I
end.
haven't done it
So
yet. No, no, no,
yeah.
I haven't done it
So
yet.
I'm sorry, y'all. We can't help the people on the other end and stuff. But we do know that it was less than $35 for everything, and you can only I mean, in the U.S., just for them to look at you, to even take your vitals, that would have been like $2,000 just for them to triage
Exactly.
you,
Exactly.
just to triage,
Just the
nothing
triage.
else.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm I'm like 1750.
So
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Okay.
the
Okay.
visit that I had in Lisbon, like I said, the emergency room visit, the X-rays, and the prescriptions, and this was it last year or year before? Last year. It was $135.
That is, yeah,
Hmm.
man. Oh man. Wow. Well, that's amazing. And actually, I'm gonna say this right now because I was thinking about when I was in Mexico last year and I was pet sitting, and I did 3 pet sits in 2 months in Mexico, and the last one was in San Miguel. And I got sick. I was sick, really. I should have been alone. I had like 103 fever, and I was like, yeah, it was horrible. Anyways, the doctor came to see me. The doctor made a house call. That visit with medicines and everything, with him coming, and I mean, he didn't do any cultures. He was just like took my temperature and was like, "Yeah, you got something. Here's the antibiotic." But that cost me $100 and USD. And in my mind, I'm like, she had to pay right now. I'm thinking, I was actually thinking it at the time, but I was like, that's a lot of money. Like, girl, it was a house call that he brought the medicine to you. Shut up. Okay. But right now, but right now, I'm like, you just had all that done for $135 in Lisbon? Yeah. And
Hmm.
then all the stuff that you had done in
And I was in and
Vietnam.
out in an hour.
Wow.
Because when you go to emergency room in the States, be
You're all
prepared
there.
to stay a few hours.
Yeah. It's an all day or all night event. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Mm-mm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So hold on, I'm seeing reset with the Celeste says, hi ladies, I was trying to explain this to a friend over the weekend about living abroad. She couldn't fathom just paying cash for care.
Mhm.
Yep. It's like what is this? Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
so there was somebody that put on was saying how they had some kind of care. I think it was in Madrid that they had some kind of care. They had an emergency situation and they didn't have insurance and they just ended up paying cash for it. And it came out to like, I can't remember how much it was, but it was like something that was, like maybe it was like $300 or whatever for the entire thing, and somebody still came on there complaining. It's like, well, you know that you just didn't get charged the full amount because you're a visitor. I was like, that's not even how that works. What are you talking about?
Mm-mm.
People just have to complain. And they
I'll give you another one.
mm,
I also had my one. This is in Vietnam as well, but this was in Da Nang, so a different city.
mhm,
Um, I went to get my teeth cleaned. Um, so I went to the dentist. Didn't have, I mean, I don't have like, issues or anything like that. It was just a regular cleaning.
yeah.
This one I will tell you, but I still want you to guess how much I paid for the cleaning. And it was a typical cleaning like you would have in the US. And there wasn't anything different about it. It was exactly the same.
So they did like the X-rays and they did like a deep
No, no,
scale
no, no
cleaning.
X-rays. Without
Oh,
the
just the
X-rays,
okay.
the cleaning, the polish, the whole nine yards, all of it.
Okay, so I'm just thinking. Okay, y'all help me out here. Let's figure out how much does she have to pay for a dental cleaning in Vietnam. I'm gonna go with 15.
15 or
15.
50? 1 5.
15. 1 5.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, if you say $4, I'm gonna be so confused. What? Okay.
So, Celeste, you're on the money, under $10.
Okay, because yeah, Bayesian Elf said yes, it said $10.
Under $10.
Okay, give it up. Come on.
$5.85. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. That's just amazing. Yeah.
Yep, $5.85. And like I said, it wasn't any different from a cleaning that you would get in the US.
Wow. Yeah, because I mean, yeah, because even out of pocket, I think the last time I went to the dentist in the US, I paid out of pocket, and I think I paid for my cleaning. It was like 350.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
was like 350.
I was gonna do it when I was in Georgia. When they told me $300, like what for a cleaning? Nah, man. Mm-mm,
We
mm-mm.
just said we are getting bamboozled in the US. Oh my gosh. What is the
It's
currency there in
crazy.
Vietnam?
Dong,
Or
I
Da
believe
Nang?
it's called. The Vietnamese dong, Dong.
Dong. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Still,
So,
wow. Okay. So let's
and
go
so
ahead and walk
can you
on over.
imagine? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Imagine if you have to have major dental work done, because there was a guy there that, and I think he was from the UK, and he was having like some all kind of stuff done.
Hmm.
And so if I paid $6 or under $6 to get my teeth cleaned, and he was having major dental work, could you imagine how much he would be paying? What,
Hmm.
maybe 100?
It's one of those things. If major dental work in the U.S. means that, hey, we can help you finance getting your mouth clean or getting
Right.
your mouth fixed.
You gotta
Yeah, they have the
finance
whole
it. Yeah,
finance thing on
exactly.
in the front. When you go to check in, they're like, "Would you like to apply for the line of credit today? Because
Hmm.
if you want to look good, if you want to have your teeth clean, would you like to apply for like a line of credit?"
Exactly.
It's like, let's just go on and give me your social security number so I can go on and run the numbers
Run
while
it.
we
Let me
wait.
run it. Run your
Yeah,
credit.
girl. But when you really think about how ridiculous that is, and knowing that all over the world, there's so many. For the most part, I know that there are other countries that follow the U.S. health plan, but
Mhm.
for the most part, way more affordable. And I'm not talking about just somebody that's just like, that you just found randomly. I'm talking about like people still doing your research, but
Right.
the options are really there where um, you don't have to go broke because you're sick or because you need to get because you chipped a tooth or just to
Right.
get your teeth
Exactly.
clean. You don't have to be in debt for 5 years trying to pay it off,
Years.
girl. And so
Telling you.
it's a reality check. So let's go on. And I was just wanted to jump on over to, okay, so you're house sitting right now.
I am.
I, I don't want to jinx it because I don't hear Mo barking. But okay,
Oh, she's
so
still barking.
oh, maybe I just blocked it out. Okay.
She's still barking.
Oh yeah, now I hear it.
She's not gonna
So,
stop.
how many pet sits have you done? Can you remember how many pet sits you've done so far, or what is it like now versus like when you first started?
Well, this is my first international sits. All of
Okay.
my sits have all been prior to this have been in the US.
Okay.
Um, the funny thing about it is my very first sit was probably and I don't want to say difficult, but that was a sit that I did in California. It was actually for another Exodus Summit sister, and she was traveling to, I think it was Africa she went to. In the middle of the sit, my mom got sick, and I had to leave the sit.
Okay.
And it was really hard, but I have to go. My mom
Yeah.
is in the hospital. Um, and so it worked out where we were able to get somebody to come in and take over. Um, Ultimately, the day after we got back home, because my daughter was with me at that point, the
Okay.
day after we got back home, we had to take my mom off life support. And so it's something that couldn't be avoided. And these things happen.
Yeah.
I Besides that, I can't say that I have had any challenging sits. I've been very lucky, but I will say that I am also very particular about the sits that I accept. I
Yeah.
don't just take a sit because
You need to
somebody
sit.
needs a sit.
Yeah.
The house, the house has to be a certain, as far as I can tell. The, the the house has to be of a certain caliber. I'm not just staying in anybody's house.
Hmm.
I'm not taking care of pets that are high maintenance. Like if you want your dog walked every 2 or 3 hours, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
If you have a bunch of pets, the most I have done is three, and that's like a combination of cats and dogs because cats are very self-sufficient,
Yeah.
so you don't really have to do a lot for cats. But dogs, of course, you got to take them out and stuff like that. But um, I mean, I lost track of how many. I think you asked me what was the
Yeah.
total. I don't remember the total, to be quite honest. But
How
yeah,
many? But this is your first one this year, or had you done? This is your first one in 2025.
in 2020, yeah, because remember, I have been traveling
Yeah.
since December.
Yeah.
So yes, this is my first one for the year, and it's also my first international sit. But yeah, I don't just take any sit. My next one is my
Princess
West.
says, "Don't, Francis. I haven't done an international sit yet." Okay. So yeah, that was her.
Oh, hey,
Gallivanting grandma. Hello, love.
hey, Gallivanting Grandma. We actually met this. I finally met her in December because she was in the VI, and we connected and had
Oh,
lunch, and yeah, and she's been one of those people that has really pushed me a lot, and so yeah, she's good
yes.
people.
And made sure that you always remember how she says, "I'm really picky too. Don't compromise your living standards.
No,
Do
no,
not."
don't at all. At
Compromising
all.
like that will set you up for failure and for a very disappointing experience.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely. And so cool. So now, yeah, so then you got this one and stuff because yeah, so and with that, because she did accept a pet sit in Madrid, we got to meet up. So here's what had happened, y'all. So just in case. So this past weekend was supposed to be the big picnic. I collaborating with Melon in Madrid. We were having a big picnic on Sunday. So I knew from the when there was a lot of people like other Black women that I talked to that live in Spain, but maybe didn't live in Madrid. So I knew based on the response time and what's going on right now, basically in the world, that I didn't. There was like maybe three people that well, actually, I take that back. Two people that I knew that were probably coming directly from the U.S. that were saying that they were coming. One girl actually came. She was ended up being in Paris for a while, and then she, instead of making it to Madrid, she just came straight to Zaragoza, and we hung out for a couple of days. So that was cool. Anyways, headed up, I was like, well, I don't know what it's going to turn out to be. It's like I'm just going to go and have fun. And then it was raining from the time I got there to Madrid. On it was probably raining like because you got
It's
to
still
Madrid like
raining.
yeah. It's been raining in Madrid. It's been raining. So the picnic was canceled. And I was like, I'm just going to have a good time, and because my personality, I'm going I'm going to meet people or go by myself and have a good time. So really there was no turnout. But what I did was, since it was raining, I said, hey, I'm going to be at the El Corte English rooftop if y'all want to come by. Nobody came by. I had my drinks, and then I went back and I chilled before I went and hit the streets later that night. But in that time, I got with Francis on that Saturday, and on Monday, no, not Monday. Was it Monday?
What's today? I don't even know what today is.
No, it wasn't. We were supposed to get together on Monday. We got together yesterday. So we got together on
Yesterday.
Saturday and on Tuesday.
Saturday and Tuesday.
Yes,
Yeah.
and got to meet her in person. We hung out, and I took her to a bar and made her get drunk. And I we
Yeah,
went on the
she
Black
was my
History Tour.
she was definitely a good tour guide because she's been here a couple of times, so she knows her way around, and introduced me to some spots. One of which I went back to today. Got some
Oh, you
fish.
did
I
the fish?
did.
Yep, yep. That
So
fish is
yeah,
good.
it's really good.
But so yeah, so and it's funny because the places that I share or the people, the things that I suggest is because I've experienced it, and I'm like, I want you to experience it too. And I'm always like, if you know of some other place, something else that's cool, then let me know. Because I like to try new things. But we went on, so we went to the place. You went back and got some of the fish, which is really good. But we also
Mhm,
did the Black History Tour yesterday.
mhm, mhm.
That um, and I remember you saying, like, how many times have you done this tour? Because I remember so much about it, and there's a lot I forgot. And then there's a lot that the tour guide, he's introducing new information as he gets more information. I've gone on this tour 5 times. Um, Now I don't pay anymore. He just, because he knows that I'm telling people to come to him. He's like, if you want to come, just come. He's like, you don't have to pay anymore. You've invested enough. But I during that tour, and I would love to get your feedback on that experience. Part of the reason that I still like to go again is for some of the new knowledge and the refresher, and also because I want to be a support, because some of that information that is being shared is enlightening and also kind of pisses you off and kind of
Mhm.
painful at times. What was your take on that Black History tour?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we are, and when I say we, I mean Black people, we're everywhere. And Spain is no different. And just to hear from him and some of the stories, I shouldn't say stories, but the history of
Hmm.
Black people, like when he took us to that church and he talked about, there's a door that on the side of the church, that this door was only for Black people, and there was a symbol on the side of the door. It was almost exactly like a dollar sign, and he talked about, like the similarities between what that symbol symbolized and what
Hmm.
a dollar sign is now. In It's almost as if someone from the US was like, oh, that symbol, we could use that symbol as a dollar sign, and just to see like the correlation of, this dollar sign having to do with, a
Yeah.
door where
The
only
origination, how it
the
originated and how it correlates, and
origination.
how that symbolism was taken and just
Hmm.
brought to
And
another
then
level.
the other thing that stood out for me too was when he talked about the slaves that you couldn't tame them, and what they did to them, and how they branded them on their foreheads and on their faces, so that if anybody came upon them, they would know that, okay, this is a slave that was problematic. And
Mhm.
it was just really eye-opening to see that, even though we know that we are everywhere, all over this world, that in every country, um, there's a history,
Yeah.
and the history is a lot similar to every other country. Some the slavery in the U.S. or the slave trade in from Portugal, it's all similar. Haiti, he talked about Haiti as well. So it was
Yeah.
really enlightening, really educational. I really enjoyed it. And if anybody that comes here, any one of us that comes here, I highly recommend that you take his tour.
Yes. I'm
He also
really
talked about he's building a team because he wants to expand and share more about, the history of Black people in Spain. So you definitely wish him well.
yeah, that was um again, that's why I think I still continue to do it, just because of, the knowledge and the it's just it's such a, I hate using this word. Well, I don't want to use the word surreal because it's not weird. It's just so eye opening and so emotional at times. That's what it
Hmm.
comes down to.
Hmm.
Yeah. And stuff. But other than that, yeah, so I've done some things. I'm gonna do another video that I'm gonna post like probably later on this week about my whole experience, because I did a lot and I got a lot of footage and I'm using it. I'm gonna be putting my footage, I'm gonna be practicing editing because I'm putting it together. So yeah, stay tuned. I don't know, sometime later this week I'm gonna do a special post that just kind of shares putting out all my business, as I like to do, about the experience and showing some of the things. Because yeah, I had a great time just wandering around by myself and talking to strangers and you know
Hmm.
yeah, I think they like me.
Yeah, that's one of the highlights for me too of solo travel. You get to
Hmm.
meet a lot of people that you otherwise would never meet. You get to explore at your own pace. You're not having to worry about, other people's timelines and stuff like that. And just like you said, you know, you don't necessarily have to be on a schedule. You can
Yeah.
just wander the streets, and that's what I do a lot. I mean, if there's something that I want to see or something that I want to do, I'll do it, but I don't put myself on a schedule saying that I have to do this by this time, I have to do this on this day. I don't do that. I take my time.
Yeah.
There's some days that I don't even do anything. You know what I mean? I just stay indoors.
Yeah.
I'm
That's the
not like,
greatness of slow travel. That's
right.
Oh, we talked about this,
Hmm.
because you can pick and choose. Like, yes, there might be some things. I might have a list of things that I'm going to do, over the 3 days. Clearly, that's what happened, and I still like might do maybe two of those things throughout, and that's okay because I'm not rushed to do anything in that set amount of time. That is the great thing about being able to slow travel and pick and choose how you want to do it.
How you want to do it exactly.
So I did want to go ahead and ask you before we close out today. I wanted to get some information because I know that you recently launched your own YouTube channel. Please do share. Tell us about that.
I did. My channel is Find Her Freedom, like you see on the bottom here. And the latest video that I did is the one about the healthcare experience in Vietnam. And
I
so
posted that in the
definitely
comments.
go over there and check it out and put your best guess in about the healthcare costs in the comments. No one has really hit it yet, but I want to give this thing away. I want somebody to have this free copy of the guide. So definitely go over and check it out. And so yeah, I have a few more I should say in the pipeline that I need to get out there. But in addition to that, I also recently launched my Substack. One of the things, and I say this on my page, is that one of the things that I discovered, I should say, about myself in creating the guide is that I realized that I really enjoy writing. And, in school coming up, people have always told me that, you write so well, you're a good writer, yada, yada, yada. But I never really took it to heart or anything. But I really enjoyed the process of writing the, or creating the guide. And so I launched a Substack. I made my first post in Substack, so you can follow me there as well. Also working on my next post in Substack. So I got a couple of things that I'm working on. Got to get better at YouTube. I know. It's definitely a deep and steep learning curve for me. I'm not a, a talker, more of an introverted introvert is what I call myself, but I'm working on it. So yeah.
I'm working. It's like it's organized chaos. So originally, Francis, we were supposed to do a live like what, a week and a half ago. But
Mhm.
life was happening, travel. Just she was trying
Time
to get settled in
zones.
Spain. Yeah, all that stuff. And so I was like, oh, I haven't posted in like a week or so because I didn't post on last Wednesday. I think I skipped last Wednesday, or I can't remember. Anyways, I didn't post Sunday, and so we're just sitting across from each other eating at El Corte English rooftop. And I was like, "You want to go live with me tomorrow?" Okay, that's how it came up with.
Okay.
And she was like, "Yeah, yeah, okay."
Okay.
So I really
We
appreciate
were
it.
supposed to do it like so long ago, so we might as well, right?
Yeah, it was like, okay, because if I was thinking introverts you liked.
That's
Christine
right.
lives here in Zaragoza. Oh yeah, just by the way, I know I'd be talking like all over the world, all over the topics and stuff. But I did try to get Frances to come here to Zaragoza, but she's not going to be able to make it because actually Christine lives here. Beijing Alpha lives here in Zaragoza,
Oh,
and so
really?
so
Okay.
yes, yes, yes. I like to claim that it was because of me, but it
I
really
was just gonna say,
it
are
was
you
her.
recruiting people to Zaragoza now? Is that
Yes,
what you're
yes, I
doing?
am. Okay. Okay.
I
Yeah, I've had
told
quite a
I
few
told
people
a
that
friend
have
of
come
mine
through.
the next time I'm on this side of the world, because I also was thinking about going to Valencia. And
Hmm.
so I told her today, I was like, no, I'm not gonna go. I'm just gonna stay here and enjoy the last few days because I leave the house. It ends on Sunday, I believe. So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna enjoy a few days here in Madrid. And then the next time I'm over here, then I'll do Valencia and Zaragoza.
Okay, I'm holding you to that. We got evidence. This is recording, by the way. Okay, so well, well, yeah. So yes, I'm so glad that you made it over, and that we did get to meet up and talk. And by the way, yes, all of her social media information is in the description. All of Frances's information is in the description below. Facebook, your Instagram, and your YouTube channel is on there. And so make sure that you do like and subscribe to this video, to this live. Make sure you're liking and subscribing and getting hitting that notification button or whatever, so you'll know whenever I decide to come on live or have something really insightful to share with you. And then also make sure that you do subscribe to Frances's channel. Okay, Find Her
Please
Freedom.
help me
And you
grow my
guys,
little
thank you.
channel.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I really truly appreciate it. And just stay awesome. And Miss Frances, please do hold on.
Thank you.